Welcome to Inside the Corner Office, a podcast where you will be taken behind the scenes of the daily life of a CEO. I'm Thomas Buberl, CEO of Accor. In each episode of this podcast, we will delve into a specific aspect of this role. You will see that making decisions from an office is definitely not what this job is all about. For every topic, we'll be joined by a leader of a major organization. I hope you will enjoy these discussions. Tune in and take a seat at the table. We are inside the corner office. Welcome back to Inside the Corner Office. Today we have a guest who has redefined what leadership can look like at the top. Sébastien Bazin has led Accor, a world-leading hospitality group, since 2013. After a career in finance, private equity, as well as a chapter as chairman of Paris Saint-Germain Football Club. Sébastien's story is a concrete illustration of great leadership that doesn't always come from traditional paths, but from audacity, courage, and instinct. Sébastien, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you remember the first time when we met?
No, probably when you got elected CEO.
I don't remember either.
No, I remember the shock when I've seen you being elected, being a non-French. That I remember very well because I knew your opponent, the guy who was running. And I said to myself, putting a German, which is now a French national, at the helm of AXA, it's gutsy, audacious, and I wanted to meet you because you must be of a different blood. And in hindsight, they made a very wise decision.
So I had a similar thought when I met you, because you were also, I remember, one of the first ones. And, you know, when you come to a new country, you have an idea of what your French colleagues could look like.
Yep.
And I was surprised that you would not fit into my stereotype that I would imagined, because you came across as somebody very creative, very direct. And when I look at, you know, how you have developed over the time and what your path looks like, it's not a very traditional path. You know, I said it earlier, from finance to football, now to hospitality. How, you know, is that a result of, many accidents that have happened to you, or was it planned?
No, nothing is planned in my life, and nothing should be planned in my life. And I think the reason why you felt that way, a lot of the French CEO have been through an extraordinary education path with a lot of successes, a lot of high mark, and in many ways through many generations, whether it's Polytechnique, HEC, and so many great schools, which I'm jealous I've never been able to go to. I never attended either, so I never tried. But it's part of their life. They're being programmed to one day being the boss. And for me, I've been programmed to basically do nothing. My parents had been the best ever education I had in my life, and they died 27 and 25 years ago, both of them, from cancer. And they only left me something which is the most precious thing, is values, education, ethic, la foi, being a Christian, and liking meeting people. So I never have any fantasy, any ambition in my world to be one day a CEO. It just came by accident. I'm enjoying the ride, and I will go out of Accor the same way I got in, with no frustration, no bitterness, and envy to do something else. So I'm only passing, hopefully leaving a mark, and hopefully a good mark. But it's pure luck. Maybe I was actually provoking the luck, but my life has been all over meeting someone that I wanted to be part of. So I've been meeting you today, and one day maybe we're going to do something together. But my life is all about actually wants to share a journey with somebody else. Has nothing to do with the size, with the title, with prerogatives, with status. This is simply not me.
Okay, let's maybe take these destinations that you had and explain a bit more in detail what it meant. So you started in finance, Colonie Capital, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was that switch to football. Explain a little bit more. Who did you meet at the time, and what made you jumped into?
Yeah. I started much earlier, and I owe many things to my father-in-law, who's still alive, and he's 96, and he got me a job at Shears and American Express, and I went as a stockbroker on Wall Street. I was 23 years old when I went to New York, and then I've met many people on the stock exchange and take over Raiders, and I went to San Francisco because we bought a company called Kaiser Aluminum. Then I was an investment banker in M&A Penn Weber between London and New York. And then I went to work into a hospitality company, and then I met Tom Barrack, Colony Capital, for 16 years. So I've been going from being a stockbroker to an investment banker to a private equity principal. And then part of all this journey, I wanted to go into unknown territory. So buying a building, it's fine, but it's boring. And I said, why don't we bought Buffalo Grill as a company, and then Canal Plus wanted to sell Paris Saint-Germain Football Club for virtually nothing. It's being stated it was 21 million euros that we paid for inheriting the club, which had been in between a great investment and taking 90% of my life for 3% of my investments. So it's been a tough journey. I enjoy every minute of it because 10 years been passing. But for 5.5 years when I was at the helm and the owner, it's been pretty brutal. I felt I knew something about sport. I knew virtually nothing. And it's one of those places when you own a club like Paris Saint-Germain, a lot of people are looking through your eyes to win. And I was not winning. And I was not winning because I was not spending the money on players. And I was not spending the money on players because there was no economic model. Yeah. I knew whatever money I could back in, I would lose it. So but I got insulted for 5 years in a row in the streets of Paris, pretty badly, pretty harshly. But he probably built a carapace and he made me stronger, which means that since then, it's been 15 years ago, I never read anything about myself. And whenever I do an interview with you, a video, I never go back. And neither do I prepare anything. So I have one blessing in my life, which I don't live through the eyes of others. What people perceive of me, of course, is probably important. But I don't care. I know who I am. I know what I do. And I feel sorry for those who wants to be admired every day because most of the days, you're probably unhappy. I'm happy by birth.
You mentioned many things. Let's do one by one. So first of all, this question around how do you smell the opportunity? Because again, going from investment banking into football is not very logical. No. And then later on to go into hospitality, yes, you can imagine, but again, it's not very logical. So how do you smell this opportunity, and when do you know is the right moment to switch?
I don't know whether it's the right moment. I don't analyze industry verticals. It's just by accident. You're just meeting the guy from Canal Plus, and he needed to sell over 10 days because he made a commitment to whomever. And I bumped into that guy and he said, Sébastien, would you buy the club? Yeah. So it was not planned. He was just cheap. And I felt being the only club in Paris when you had 6 others in London, you probably, if you can afford the 21 million, and plus on top of it, we paid in 3 years installment. The franchise was bigger than life, and make it happen. Buffalo Grill, I never planned to go into this restaurant chain, and I never planned to buy a vineyard. It's called Château Lascombe, which we owned for 4 years. Most of my life is unplanned. It doesn't say that I don't think. Before you make that decision, even though you might have only 10 days, you'd better work in those 10 days on understanding the risk, on having the right diagnostic, on trying to understand what could you do with it that others did not do. So but 90% of everything I do in my life has been provoked by something that I did not plan for and somebody that I've met. I'm a very good listener. And if you do listen and pay attention to people you meet, something's going to come out of it. You may do nothing with it, or you may actually embark. So the only places where I've been settling down probably has to do with wisdom and age is when you run a company of the size of Accor, then you know you are planning for 4, 5, 7 years ahead, and you cannot pivot all the time. So this is the first time for the last 13 years where I have been pretty rigorous on not changing directions, because I could if it was only for me. When you embark 300,000 people, you cannot change direction all the time. So that's the only place where I say kind of actually finally sitting down.
We'll come to Accor in a minute. Your secret is basically to say, look, meet many people.
Yes.
And also meet the unexpected, listen well, then you can create opportunities.
And travel. And try to meet, I've been telling as a bit of advice to anybody I meet with, go out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So meet those people you have no chance to meet other than you going to them. Yeah. It could be different colors of skin, different religion, different languages. Yeah. Go outside of your comfort.
Yeah. The second thing you said that struck me was the question around resilience. So you got a lot of negative feedback. People were talking to you in the street. The concept of resilience is easy to think, but when you have to live through it and live through criticism, I remember when I got, criticized in the public eye, it was not always easy. How did you deal with it? And has every additional criticism made you able to go back on the resilience you created from the last time? How did you do that?
It makes you stronger. At the end of the day, I understood those blaming me at the time of Paris Saint-Germain because they were expecting the best team, the best players, the best investments. And for many of them, they were tattooed with Paris Saint-Germain. That was their life, that was their blood. And here was a guy like me, young enough, who was not committing enough. And I don't blame them, and I understood. The only thing, the reason why I did not fulfill what they wanted is that was not my money. I was acting on behalf of other people's money. I had a fiduciary duty. I had to be careful. So I had to actually manage what was my job at the time to be protective of somebody else's investment and admitting that those critiquing me are actually right. So you just have... It's a question of, do you feel bad when being criticized? The answer is I don't feel bad. So it's... Again, it has to do with my family. I've been married for 41 years. I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I know who do I have to report to.
Another thing you said which struck me is you never look back. You live the moment and then you look forward but never look back, which is also quite rare.
Which is why I don't remember when we first met, you and I.
Exactly. Good proof. It's also, again, not, very normal. Everybody is normally very proud of what they've done in the past and who they've met and so on. And you start every time almost at zero again. How did this principle how did you adapt it and how does it make you stronger?
Well, I don't look back because I have no bitterness, no frustration or something I should have done that I didn't do. So plus I'm not looking for any medal or anything that I guess, even any thank you note. And you and I know, being CEO of a listed company, you're never going to get a thank you note, and I won't get one either. That being said, my dream, which I will never accomplish, which is super sad, is I've been dreaming to be an architect. And that probably answers differently your question. Why do I dream to be an architect? Because I think there's nothing better than with your own eyes seeing a site, with your brain thinking of what you could be crafting, designing, then your fingers takes it over and you're actually designing on a piece of paper. And then you are convincing the mayor or you're convincing an investor to actually come along. And then it could be 3 years, 5 years, and you look back and you said, that building is a bit of me. Which is probably why we're doing Orient Express and the yacht, is its notion of, I'm not looking back for myself, I'm looking back for pieces of art that I guess you have been part of. I need this.
But wouldn't you say that almost after 13 years now, you are also the architect of what is called Accor today? It's a difficult question because the two founders are extremely not only present, but I guess we owe everything to them. They started it, and there's nothing more difficult than starting something from scratch. So I've been coming late in the game. My legacy at Accor, if one is Accor was an extraordinary French European organization, super robust, and we made it French origin, but so international, so global. So
and we went faster in some emerging markets. So it's I've done it differently from my predecessors, but my successor is going to do something probably even better. So I'm happy of one thing is I changed personally. When I started at Accor, I was a pretty abrasive financial prick. I was giving advice to so many people, critiquing so many people, whether as a banker, was an equity, private equity. And in reflection now, I was probably wrong half of the time. I should have thought that, I guess, yaka faucon, as we say in French, is not as easy as one could actually say when you're on the outside. I crossed the bridge because I wanted to test myself. And I realized that when you are a doer, when you're embarking people, you have to be patient, which is not my best quality. You have to draft for 5 years. You have to embark 360,000 people. And it doesn't work all the time. And in between what you have in your head and when it gets to be implemented, you have to do it again and again because people don't get it at the first place. And you need to lead and you need to get people to trust you. So I went from a financial prick, being financially minded, financially rewarded, to today, hopefully, and it's not for me to say it, being 90% human capital driven. Yeah. I love the people I'm with. I love the people who work with me. I love embarking underprivileged people. So now my life is all about, I guess, humankind. So I may be a different person.
And what made you change? Was it the people that made you change, that thinking from the financial prick to becoming people who, becoming somebody who loves people? Was it the people? What changed you?
They changed me. It's the people I've met when I started at Accor. They were pretty abrasive with me. They hated me because I was on the board of Accor for 20 years now, and I was giving wrong advice, and I was, I was talking too harshly, and they hated me when I came. And I wanted to know why, and I finally realized it's because I talked before I listened. So it's just the going on so many territories and understanding that Accor is all about a school of life, which is probably the same thing in AXA. It's 2/3 of Accor population never went to university. It's we gave them a job, and when somebody never have the privilege I had, I've been living in a very privileged family, that you realize that those who need the most, you'd better be there for them. So this notion of helping somebody who needed you, so it's probably a longer answer to your question.
When we started talking earlier, you said you didn't go on a normal French Christmas holiday. You stayed in Paris, and you went on the floors and spoke to people on the last day of work, on the last day of the year. What feeling does it give you when you go to these people and your colleagues and talk to them and listen to them?
I usually do this. This year I actually went on that Friday, December 26th, and December 31st was also a Friday. No, the 2nd, whatever. And I was alone in the office, and when I am in between breaks, I go to 24 floors, floor by floor, on my own, and I want to go and visit those who actually are nice enough to come to work where everybody is absent. And 2/3 of those people I meet, I don't know they existed. I've never actually put a name on their face, but I had time because I do it for 4 hours. So you sit down with someone you don't know. That person knows you, and you ask, "Who are you? What are you doing? And why is she working? Or was he working on that Friday?" And it's a special moment. So it's
what makes it so special? This moment
that I should have done it a long time ago. That meaning somebody who has a lot of expertise that I did not even put a name on. So it was emotional for me to finally give that person some time, and for him, hopefully, it was emotional to have the benefit of that time with me. So it's and I do it. I needed it more than them needed me. So it was probably my gift.
Very good.
And I wrote something, which is, it was most of the floors were empty, but they had a lot of actually, you put a pencil and you can draw something on the walls. So I put some personal note to each floor. So I don't know what they're going to see it when they come back as this morning, but again, they have a note from me.
That's cool. Which is also, I think, because you didn't grow up in that industry. You didn't even grow up in normal industrial companies.
No.
Has it also, is that also part of your leadership style, that you follow your instinct and that you do what you think is right and not what your predecessors have done? How did you create your leadership style?
By listening. We, this, Thomas. The hospitality travel space is a very easy industry to dive in. It's all about human capital. There's no supply chain. There's very little IT. There's no logistic. There's no patent, really, IP. So it's 95% being made locally. So it's you just have to give power to those who are in front of the customers. So when you go to a hotel, that hotel could be 50 rooms, 300 rooms. The most extraordinary person is general manager of the hotel. He's going to have 12 unforeseen events every single day. When somebody has lost a passport, somebody's getting sick, the boiler water is actually going down. And give that autonomy to that person and tell him you are in charge. Don't seek permission. And so it's if you give the power, if you trust the people you lead, and if you say thank you, then it works fine. So it's all about the delegation. But in order for me to trust the people, which is why I travel 270 days a year, I need to see them. They need to see me, hopefully. But that power comes with visual contact, most of it.
And I mean, when I look at your journey at Accor, I mean, you said you were hated when you started because you were on the board.
I think it lasted only 3 months, though.
Okay, good. Hopefully, but you've changed the company massively. I mean, at the time, the company, if I remember correctly, was owning the hotels.
Yes.
Today, you are very much an asset-light company, and this was a very fortunate thing you had also during COVID. Accor today is a real brand with a sub-brand, which wasn't the case at the time. How did you get to that, conviction you have to go in that direction? Because it's a profound change.
Yeah, I'll be very candid with you. When I got elected chairman CEO, I've put a plan together to the board of directors for like a couple of months. And when I started my first day, my plan hasn't been revealed to anyone at Accor except the board of directors. And I was so much unwelcome. Then I decided that it would be stupid for me to release my plan until I knew better from the inside. So I decided to travel for those 90 days in 40 different countries, met 33,000 people one-on-one. And I corrected half of my plan. And thank God I did after 90 days. And it's a question of, I realized that people were absolutely lost on Accor direction. They didn't know whether Accor was going west, south, east. People were very much unhappy with everything being decided in Paris by French expatriate. They were very bitter that they were not properly recognized as individuals, but they loved the brand and what they were doing. So I realized after those 90 days that I need to give a very clear direction. I need to give authority to non-French people. And I need to make sure that I say thank you and I say I love you to many of them because they are part of the journey. So that was a wake-up call for me. And then decided that they didn't know how to appreciate the risk of investing $1. And they were confused between balance sheet, return on capital that well, when you invest your own money, you need to assess inflation, interest rate, and so forth, which is a very different diagnostic when you go into profit and loss, experience, customer data, and servicer. So I said, we cannot do both. We need to decide. Do you want to be an investor or do you want to be a servicer? And I said, we can't afford to continue investing so many dollars. So I said, why don't we just sell all the real estate? Thank God we did before COVID. Then we had 13 brands, and I said, those brands are dying. They're still very strong, but they're not growing anymore. We need to go into upscale luxury. We need to move outside of Europe because Europe was flattening. So we need to go to Africa, to go to the Middle East, to go to Southeast Asia and Korea, Japan, and others. So we went from 13 brands to 48 brands today. Europe is today 40%, was 90% when I started. And so we sold $4 billion of real estate. We reinvested a lot of money into data, customer service, brands. Then I decided, I guess, we need to have a better organization. We were too diversified, and lack of an ownership, lack of visibility, lack of accountability, which, by the way, Thomas, that word does not exist in French, being accountable, which is kind of bizarre.
Maybe there's a reason.
Maybe there's a reason. And I decided, I guess, if you do give clarity, agility, accountability, you should be home free. The problem that I misunderstood, I thought I could have done that in 5 years. And here am I talking to you, and it took me 12 years. It's twice longer than I expected. I understand what that is, but you need to accept the price of time.
But it's, I guess, what you said earlier, that you are impatient by nature, and to move 300,000 people takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, and they want to be led, which is one of those things. Absolutely true for any government or any entity. That incarnation is extremely important. But there's somebody who said to me, I don't know why I'm talking to you about this. An American investor told me last week, and I was very offended. And now I understand it. He said, Sébastien, you are Accor's greatest asset, but you're also Accor's greatest liability.
And what was he or she trying to say to you?
I take too much space. And that person is right. You need to incarnate during changing time, because they need to trust someone. Yeah. But there's a time in which you should disincarnate. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And it's not as easy as I would have expected it to be.
What is not so easy?
To take less space, to shine less, to get your people next to you to shine more than you. That's okay with me, because I'm not driven by ego. But I never realized, how much space I took within Accor, and that's okay, because I have a dozen people that's going to shine better and brighter. But I should have realized it myself before being told.
Is it also, that goes more to, almost your next step of life, because at some point after such a long time...
Which is not planned, by the way.
Exactly, it's not planned, but is it also, you have shown that you have never been fearful of a next step, and whatever it is, if there's something interesting that you take it, so it shouldn't be such an issue for you.
No, it's not an issue. I know what I want, and I know, I guess, what I don't want. Again, that's called wisdom now. It's... Since I've been traveling so much for the last 15 years, I need that international angle. I think I know the world pretty well. So I would love my life to be at least a third, if not 50% international exposed. So it could be board members. I love India, I love America and Middle East. So I'll spend a lot of time next in those regions. And I'll probably devote a third or half of my time for nonprofit. You and I know.
Yeah, you've been very strong on this one.
I do a lot in cancer. I'm the president of the Gustave Roussy Foundation for the last 13 years. I do a lot on abused children with Céline Greco. And that's what I want, is I want to be closer to those people who are being actually harassed by so many things. So it's... and probably more time with my family if I could, because I was not there. Yeah,
if you have spent 270 days traveling, there's not that much that remains.
You meant the weekend, not much. But it's but I have no fear. Whatever's going to come next is going to be as beautiful as what I had before. I want to make sure that, I guess, I wake up actually as a happy man.
What gives you the most joy when you think about preparing somebody for potential succession?
It's a difficult question, because it's what I want is, I'm so much in front of Accor, in love with this company. What I'm looking forward is that school of life to be preserved. Accor has great financial numbers. We have a very solid balance sheet. We have great brands. We have remarkable leadership in terms of footprint. But in today's world, the one thing which I'm concerned the most about is those who has basically very little chance to get a job. I've never told you this, I think I've done once, is the World Bank is saying that in 10 years from today, you're going to have 1.2 billion young people between 18 and 25 who are looking for a job. in those developed countries, which is mostly Africa and Southeast Asia and South America. The shape of the economy of those countries could maximum afford to give a job to 400 million of those young people. So 800 million will be out of a job proposition in only 9 years from today. If you don't resolve this, that means many things. It means immigration, it means violence, it means narco traffic, it means prostitution. I need to help find a solution for these 800 million young people. They're being born in the wrong place, and they don't have the chance I had. So, and hospitality travel is part of the solution. So my biggest joy is, since I won't be there in 9 years, is for my successors to have found that solution.
Which is not an easy one, because
and we might need to be two, by the way. So I might embark you on trying to find
AI
it.
will not help this issue. It will make it even more difficult.
Yeah, no, it's which is why when I travel so much, I spend my time is always split in 3/3. A third with my teammates. I go and see them in a hotel and in a country office. I spend a third with my owners because they're giving us trust and money to build a hotel, and a third with the Prime Minister, the Minister of Tourism, trying to help the local GDP to be built. And that 3/3 is extremely important for me to understand the state of each country and each market, because that gives me a pretty good read.
But I think if I look at Accor, and look, we've been working on some innovative stuff together, and I always was struck by your amazing innovative capacity. You have plenty of ideas, and I believe you are actually the architect, even though you don't realize it, because you can imagine in discussion what could the future look like and what could be great opportunities. If you remember the teleconsultation ideas in hotels that we had, which was amazing at the time. I mean, I guess the biggest asset of Accor today is probably its culture.
Yeah.
Because, this is probably, everybody can, buy into hotels, everybody can buy a servicing company, everybody can buy Orient Express, but a culture is very difficult to copy.
Which has nothing to do with me. It has to do with 60 years of legacy. But it has to do with, we came up with a phrase, which is the purpose of Accor, which I love. It has nothing to do with me. It was actually brought up by a team of 40 people. And he said the following: pioneering the art of responsible hospitality, connecting cultures with heartfelt care. And when you realize the semantic of pioneering, moving, and being an art, being a craftsmanship, being responsible, connecting cultures, and doing it with the heart, you should be home free. But there's no notion of financials, there's no notion of growth, there's no notion of margins. So that pioneering and responsibility and caring is who we are. And which is why when people go to a hotel, and I receive a lot of actually thank you, and actually people actually didn't like it, what they all remember of Accor, wherever they are in a 48 branch, is a smile. And if you are welcomed by a smile, even though you're late and in a grumpy mood and the room is not the one you want, you actually accept it because that person in front of you is a charming person and professional. So the smile is everything in life, which is why when I walk in the streets of Paris, when I'm in front of you, I smile most of the time, but I look people in the eyes. The visual contact is half of the job, which is why I love my job.
So unfortunately, we have to already come to an end of a very interesting and inspiring conversation. So you are in a couple of years at the point, where you had to hand over, and you're looking back on a very interesting, diverse, colorful career. What, are the pieces of advice you would give to our young listeners when they think about their own career?
Do things you're unable to do. So I usually take an example, which is when you go to Tokyo, you can't even read the signs. You have no idea what it says. So whomever is young today, would you please go for 6 months, for a year, in territories in which you have no expertise, you don't understand the language, but you're going to build your body. You would have experienced something. You have no chance to experience remaining in Paris or in Cannes. So go outside of yourself. Try to go alone, by the way. I've done it, and it served me very well. So
it challenges you, and you learn.
Yeah, you learn. So and live your dreams, I guess. I lived mine, so, but it's not over yet.
It's not always exactly. We are in the middle of a long dream. Exactly.
Well, that's it, tout ça.
Exactly.
Salut, merci.
Very good. Thank you, Sébastien. Very inspiring. Thank you very much.
Ciao, bye-bye.
Thank you.